everyone, and welcome to the Life by Design CPC Entrepreneur Spotlight. Today we're here with Nicole McMillen. She's the owner of Premier Party Planners. Nicole, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, and thank you for coming. So let's just jump right into it. Tell me about Premier Party Planners.
Well, Premier has been a long time in the making. It was something that from the time I graduated college, I knew I wanted to do event planning. I had actually had an interview that I conducted with an event planner who specialized in destination weddings in Wilmington. And it was for a school project. So I remember after I left the interview, I was like convinced this is what I wanted to do. I was ready to go. But of course, I tried to find a job in event planning, but everyone said you need experience first. Well, how do you get experience without getting hired?
Right.
So long story short, I moved to Raleigh and got a job completely unrelated to event planning just to, pay the bills. So after that happened, I decided to get an internship with a wedding firm here in Raleigh. Did that for a while. She eventually started paying me, which is great. And then I just started getting more hands-on with the weddings. And it really just solidified my passion for it and the desire to do this full-time. So about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years now, I started Premier. I eventually went out on my own. I incorporated the business, started up my website, and just got the ball rolling for Premier. Meanwhile, I was still working full-time on the side just to continue to pay the bills, obviously, as I built up my clientele and my brides. And then about a year ago, March, I was able to make the transition to doing Premier full-time.
That's awesome.
So, yes, I was very excited. I have to say that it was a very hard decision to make. You really need to weigh the pros and cons of leaving the quote-unquote stability of a full-time job to go do something on your own where you don't know
the paycheck every week is not there.
Exactly. You have to go out and hunt down your food and drag it home to the cave. So it was definitely something I had to really think about and weigh the pros and cons. And at that point in time, I was planning a destination wedding in Switzerland. And right after I had put in my 2 weeks notice, my Switzerland bride actually asked me to come with her to the wedding in Switzerland. So I was like, okay, I definitely made the right decision. I knew then that I had made the right decision. But that's pretty much the backstory of Premier. But yeah, this March, I will have been doing Premier full-time for a year.
That's good. Yeah. That's really good.
Yeah.
So when you started talking about it, you could tell that this was your thing because you were like,
yeah,
you got so excited.
Yeah.
So you had some bumps along the road, though.
Yes.
Tell us about the bumps and how did you overcome those?
Well, some of the initial bumps were obviously, how do I get business? I was like, where are these brides going to come from? So I had to really put myself out there. Started advertising online. I advertise on thenot.com. My company is a featured vendor, and that in and of itself was a risky decision because it's such a financial commitment every month that I didn't know if it was going to be beneficial. I just didn't know, but I kind of figured, well, I need to do something and it's worth taking the risk. So I started advertising on The Knot, which was a great decision. I mean, it has brought me the best brides ever. So that was a little road bump. Of course, quitting my day job was a bump. Just some of the more difficult things, I don't necessarily know if I'd call them bumps, but just stressful, difficult, challenging aspects of the job. Challenging aspects of working for yourself are, I am everything. I'm accounting, I'm HR, I am advertising, I'm the lead coordinator. I wear all these different hats, and so sometimes it gets a little stressful having to work 60, 70 hours a week because I'm having to take care of payroll, or not necessarily payroll, but just take care of the bills, advertising, keeping my website updated. So it's not just event planning that I'm focusing on, it's all the aspects of the business that I have to manage. So that's something that I would say is a little more challenging than I initially understood or realized. But as far as like other road bumps, you know, that's probably the
pretty simple,
yeah,
easy, everyday stuff.
Yeah,
yeah,
those are probably the main aspects that are stressful, you know, would be considered road bumps.
Now, you mentioned twice how the aspect of quitting your full-time job came into it. So I know one thing that I've always been curious about, and something that everybody watching the video is curious about, is how did you know? When was that moment for you?
Well, there are two aspects to my decision to quit my day job. The first and the most important aspect was the financial aspect of it. Leading up until that point in my life, I had really worked very, very hard to eliminate as much debt as possible. So I don't have a car payment, I don't have any credit card payments. You know, I live on a cash base, like budget.
Bones.
Yeah,
bones,
I really
basically.
just eliminated everything, and then on top of that, by doing that, I was able to save a lot of money. You know, I was able to put a little way into a nest egg, so that way, if there were a few months that I was, you know, not making as much money, or you know, Premier wasn't covering its own expenses, I could pull from my savings to keep the ball rolling.
Right.
So that was the biggest thing. And what I had done was, I'm a big fan of Dave Ramsey, and he always talks about having a 3 to 6 month worth emergency fund. So me being a single woman, I erred on the 6 to 9 month side, just for my own security gland. So once I had that 9 month emergency fund saved up, that was like check number one. And then check number two for quitting my job was, and I had always hoped this would happen, but there would come a point where I couldn't take on any more business with Premier without my day job and Premier suffering. You know, I had gotten to the point where I was like, I can't take on any more brides without Premier suffering, and or my personal life suffering, and or my day job suffering, because I had gotten to the point where I was staying up until 1 o'clock in the morning doing research for my brides, writing up contracts, and then having to get up. Yeah, then I was having to get up at 6 in the morning to go to my day job. And so I knew that this was my passion, this is what I've been given a gift to do. And so at that point in time, I said, okay, I don't want Premier to stall. I don't want it to stale out. This is where I want to focus my efforts. So I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to quit my day job, and I'm going to give Premier the full-time attention that it deserves and see where it leads me.
I'm so glad to hear you say that you were smart about this. One of the things people, it's almost, I don't want to say controversial, but you have the people who are like, just go for it no matter what. And then you have people like me who's like, but what if I don't have money for next month? So I'm very glad that you went the smart route, and you had money in savings before you took that big leap.
And I had pretty much eliminated, I had taken my monthly budget and just gotten it down to the bare bones, like what can I live without, because I wanted to sacrifice so I could do Premier. You know, I knew that, you know, limiting my cell phone bill, limiting my shopping, you know, all those things combined were working towards the goal of being full-time with Premier.
Is it worth it?
Yes, definitely. I would say so, but the one thing that I would tell any, you know, upcoming entrepreneur is you have to be passionate about it. You have to, there's no question about it. You have to love it, love it, love it, because I work more hours now than I ever have worked before, and if you don't love it to that level, you will get burnt out so fast, and you'll hate it. And so that's the only thing I would encourage, you know, upcoming entrepreneurs, is that find something that you love that you'd be willing to do for free, that you would just do for free, like it's
for fun, hobby,
a hobby you would do for free. You love it. That's what I would encourage women to branch out and do on their own. You know, don't do something that you're like, oh well, I kind of like it. Okay, it's not going to work.
You'll lose your drive. Absolutely, that's a very good point. That's good. So, okay, real quick, weddings.
Yes. Corporate events.
Birthdays.
Oh yeah.
What else? Those are the only things I think of with wedding planning or with event planning. So what else do you?
Nonprofit benefits, benefit dinners, corporate events, fundraisers, things like that. Weddings are definitely our biggest ticket item. You know, even though we're in a recession, people are still getting married. People still want to spend money on their daughter's wedding, which is nice. There are, you know, the majority of my brides are a little more budget conscious. but that's totally understandable. But yeah, I focus primarily on weddings, and then my second focus is corporate event planning under that umbrella.
Okay, perfect. So people want to use you for their upcoming wedding, corporate event, how should they contact you?
Well, they can always reach us on our website at premierpartyplanners.com. Our phone number is 699-1882, and you can always reach me via email at nicole@premierpartyplanners.com.
And now, do you only work with people in the Raleigh area?
No, actually, I mentioned I had that destination wedding in Switzerland. I have a couple brides in Chicago. I have a couple brides in the Midwest, in Kansas City area. So
that's very random.
Well, they're all getting married here in Raleigh. I am their eyes and ears here in Raleigh.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would always encourage any bride-to-be, find an event planner or wedding planner either in the city that you live in or the city that you're going to be getting married in.
Right.
But I will travel as far as the bride wants to. I have a wedding coming up in Wilmington this year. I have a wedding at the beach in Emerald Isle. So it's just as far as they want to travel.
So you could cut vacation out of your budget because there you go.
Yes, that is my vacation. Work.
Great. Well, Switzerland?
Yeah.
Come on now.
No. It was
so
definitely worth it. Definitely worth it.
Yeah. Okay. So Nicole, thank you so much. And there you have it. A 100% true entrepreneur built it from the ground up and having success. So we'll see you next time.